Hi, this is Neil Clements, and this is The Real Deal with Neil. Today we're talking about why flipping land and houses is the gateway to wealth in real estate. We're gonna go through how to build income quickly, what flipping teaches you about real estate, and how it can pivot you into other strategies in addition just to flipping. So let's get to it. All right, so the first thing about flipping houses is that it builds income quickly. So especially when you compare it to rental properties, multifamily investing, even commercial investments, most real estate investments are a get rich slow kind of scheme. You buy something, maybe you add value to it, you increase the rents, and then you increase the value over time, and then maybe you exit 3 to 5 years on a commercial, maybe you hold it 10 on a residential, but that is a very slow path to wealth. A good path, yet slow. Whereas a flip, let's say you're able to get into it, you buy it for below market value. At the end of the day, you hold it for 3 to 6 months, you profit $30,000 to $50,000 on the flip, and you have that money instantly available, ready to deploy into your life, into another real estate investment, into another flip, into one of those slow opportunities that I just talked about. But I'll tell you, with flipping, there is no better way to build income quickly than to buy something below market value, add value to it quickly, and flip it immediately. It's like the very definition of fast money versus slow money, and it is one of the best ways in real estate to get started. And that's what we're gonna be going over today, is like, why is it so good? And first one is because it builds income so quickly. And I truly believe in flipping that nothing can build your financial trajectory faster than flipping. Because again, if we're talking about making, say, 30 to 50,000 a pop, if not 100,000 if you take a higher risk at a higher price, where else can you get those kind of returns for a few months of work, putting together some contractors, buying below market value? The return that you get and the speed that you get it back is just unparalleled, and the profit is so high if you can do it right. The other thing to know is that if you wanted to make like a business out of flipping, or you want to make a career out of flipping and you want to quit your job, well, again, if you compare it to, say, like a rental property, if you wanted to make $10,000 a month in rental properties to be able to replace, say, your 6-figure job that you currently have, gosh, you would have to have a lot. You would probably have to have $1 million to $1.5 million of equity to then leverage, as a down payment to buy like $5 million of real estate, to be able to get some kind of cash flow even in that means. And somebody listening might say, well, I've done it for less, or I could do it for less. It's like, here's the point. You got to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, to be able to accomplish that. Most people are not sitting around with that kind of capital. If they are, they might not be watching my video. On the other hand, with a phone, to be able to call maybe real estate agents, to be able to call homeowners, to be able to call wholesalers and build some relationship, to be able to find the deals that you need with not having to have millions. In fact, you could probably have zero and flip houses with a partner and still take 50% or more of the profit just for finding an excellent deal. But let's just say that you wanted to replace $100,000 a year. That would be 4 flips at $25,000 a piece. 2 flips at $50,000 a piece. And I know that these are huge numbers, and some of you listening might be like, oh my gosh, like, how do I achieve that? Well, it all starts from finding a deal below market value. In real estate, you don't necessarily add value so much so that you can make all your money. I mean, there are some investors who do it that way, but a lot of the time when we're talking about flipping, we're talking about buying a deal so far below market value that there's no way that you can lose. Talking about buying a house at, say, 50%, 60% of market value, the same thing with a piece of land, 50% of market value, buy for $50,000, sell for $100,000. With a house, buy for $150,000, sell for $200,000. Like, all these huge numbers that if you can find the deal, you can make the profit. Because really, most deals are found, they're not necessarily created. Especially the quick fix and flip ones. They're found, not created. So that's number one. It builds income. Number two, here's why to flip houses. It gets you in the game. That's why we call flipping properties the gateway to bigger things, because whenever you flip a house, there are just certain things that you have to know. You have to learn how to go out and find a deal. And by learning to find a deal, you can learn how to find a deal for a flip. Well, all of a sudden, what if the numbers aren't good enough? Okay, well, maybe I'll make it a rental property, or maybe I'll wholesale it to somebody, or maybe I'll double close it and find a buyer in the meantime, or maybe I'll broker it. Maybe I'll get my real estate license and I'll broker the transaction. There is so many revenue streams that can come from learning how to find great deals, and you learn how to find great deals by flipping properties. Flipping properties also allows you to build relationships with contractors. You're gonna have to have people to renovate these houses that you buy, and so your contractors, again, can flip over to whatever project you're working on. It doesn't have to be flips. It can be any part of your real estate portfolio. Or you can even become a general contractor and manage projects for others too because of the contract database you built. You're also gonna have to build relationships with realtors, title companies, attorneys, lenders, survey companies, insurance agents. You're gonna have to have all of these relationships to do your flips, which is gonna allow you to do so much more. It also teaches you the ins and outs of buying real estate and selling real estate. It teaches you what are good loan terms. It teaches you how to find a good title company, a good realtor. And honestly, it shows you firsthand the experiences that you read about in the books and the articles that you read online beforehand. And there truly is no replacement to getting firsthand experience in flipping, because it gets you in the game. All right, number 3, it teaches you how to find good deals, because in order to know that a deal is a good deal or not, you have to learn how to comp properties. You have to learn, like, what types of properties do I want to do? Do I want to do full gut rehabs? Do I just want to do paint and carpet? Do I want to touch foundations? Like, you kind of learn the different areas where you want to do, where you don't want to do. And in land, do I want to touch subdivides? Do I want to touch infill? Do I want to do rural acreage? Do I want to do platted, unplatted? What do I want to do? And that's some of the things that you figure out as you analyze deals. And that's also what you learn is how to even analyze them in the first place. How do we determine after repair value? What is it going to be worth after I'm done with it? What can I sell it for? But truly, like I said earlier, you make money when you buy. And that is a figure of speech to say that if you buy a property below market value enough, then you're making your money on the buy because you bought it right. And that's been kind of the saving grace for me in my flipping business. There's been a lot of times where a lot of mistakes have happened, from bad contractors to issues with the property, to it not selling what I thought it could sell for. But I'll tell you, if I bought it low enough, that forgives a multitude of sins. And like I said earlier, most deals are found, they're not created. And so in the finding, you learn how to find good deals. Number 4, it creates other real estate opportunities. So I talked earlier about if you go out and you find a property, somebody wants below market value, maybe there's not enough room to flip it, because in flipping, you have to be able to add value quickly, get in and get out as soon as possible. Maybe there's not enough value there, but maybe there is low enough for you to do a minimal renovation and maybe make it into like a single family rental property. Maybe for land, there's not enough money for you to flip it now, but maybe you could put some kind of lease on the property to do it. Same thing with commercial. Maybe you could put some kind of lease on the property to make it a longer term flip, a 3 to 5 year flip, and count on the appreciation. It also gives you the ability to top grade assets over time. So let's say you've got a rental portfolio of single family assets. You're going after more houses to try to flip. Well, you renovate a property. If it doesn't sell, you just keep it as a rental. If it does sell, then great, you made the money and you go out and do it again. But what if you have this portfolio of older houses and you start to think, well, I don't really want to renovate those anymore. I'm gonna get the tenants out of there after their lease ends. I'm gonna add this new one that I found. I'm gonna put it in my rental portfolio, and I'm gonna put it, in a long-term capital gains instead of like an ordinary income that I would have to pay. I'm gonna minimize my tax liabilities. Right? It also opens the door to be able to sell or finance things, especially with like land subdivisions. When we go out and we're able to do multiple lots, maybe we can have our project paid off by selling 3 out of 5 lots, and the other 2 we can sell or finance to somebody with a good down payment. So what I'm trying to say is, once you learn how to flip land, you learn how to flip houses, you learn how to flip some kind of property in real estate, it is the gateway to your success to be able to do other items. And I hope I've shown you why that is today, but truly, I don't think there is any better way to get into real estate than flipping. So let's get to it.